it's not just TikTok. There's more coming. If you think TikTok is the last thing that's going to come out of China to rattle the feathers of entrepreneurs in North America, trust me, things are just getting started here. And I'll tell you one thing, and thank you very much for allowing me to chat about it. A lot of companies here have a very, very large research and department. Give you an example. You may have heard of this company. If you haven't, it's probably coming to a country near you. It's called BYD. Build Your Dreams. They're one of the largest manufacturers of new energy vehicles. In 1986, they were a battery company. Cars are part of it. They have 1.1 million employees. And of that 1.1 million, over 150,000 of them just work in the research and development department of those companies. So China not only gives money back to shareholders like American companies do, but they reinvest in staggering numbers to find out what the next best or thing to make people's lives better. And we're seeing it happen. The tables have turned.
Extremely interesting. Thank you for the answer.
Mhm.
Also on this question, because now with what we talked about, we would think that we mostly have tensions and only accusations and attacks from the US against China. But also on around at the beginning of September, we had what I think is strange, because it might be seen as a U-turn from Trump. He decided to defend the visas, the student visas, for and issue them for 600,000 Chinese students. So, how would you analyze this specific decision from Trump, trying to import, in a way, um, uh, so many Chinese students, if we have already so many tensions and we need to consider China, if we are an American, China as an enemy? Why would he do that?
A very good question. And once again, it's going to need a little bit of a deep answer.
Mhm.
It's not just about Chinese students. It's about the image of China. Many nations still to this day may say, oh, look at China, poor country, impoverished country, sweatshops. Oh, they make $2 an hour. I mean, it's interesting. If you go back and you look at every single industry, 10 years ago, Elon Musk laughed at the development of BYD. Absolutely said, have you seen their cars? Who's laughing now, Elon? Really, who's laughing now? I don't think it's you. Okay. And in fact, you build your Teslas here at a factory outside in Shanghai, and you sell your cars here, and we buy them because we can put politics aside here in China, and we are consumers as well. So we're going to answer the question about Chinese universities. I gave you an example about new energy vehicles just now with BYD. I'll give you an example about the mobile phones. 15 years ago, people laughed at China. China can't make a mobile phone if their life depended on it. Really? Have a look at Huawei. Have a look at Oppo. Have a look at Apple. Okay, those products aren't made here. Whether they want to make them in America, go for it. See how much that's going to cost you. It might cost you $4,000 a phone. But these are industries. Now China's moving on. They're moving into the medical industries. They're moving into robotics. They're moving into AI. They're moving into media. Now, they're not perfect at defending even their own country when it comes to their media outlets, but give them 5 or 10 years and their budgets look out, because this country will be able to defend itself and could be the darling of countries to come. When it comes to universities, they are also opening up their 5 years ago. I give you an example. It used to be a major, major triumph for people to be educated in Western universities, because some parents felt that, well, let's give our son and daughter the opportunity to see what life is like on another continent. And with this friendship and this cultural and tourism exchange, maybe our students can learn a little bit and bring some back, not steal, but learn and bring things back. Well, that used to be the tone, but that's changing now, where China's standing up and say, wait a minute, our universities are great too. In fact, Instead of trying to kick our students out or pull their visas or not want them or make them feel unwelcome in your country, how do we do this? Well, we can do it two ways. Maybe we'll bring in Western professionals, Western professors, Western teachers, and pay them what teachers deserve for a salary. It's not going to be too hard to convince some teachers. A nice boost to salary, nice safe atmosphere, beautiful new universities here to teach Chinese students, not for extortionate prices that these universities rely on in North America. I think Trump had a little bit of a meeting with Harvard, a little bit of a meeting with some of these major universities in the United States. And they said, Donald, our business plan, if you pull these visas, these universities are broke and they're broke real fast. Don said, well, how can that be? Well, we used to charge them 200 times or 200% more than what a normal American would pay for our university. And maybe had a little bit of a laugh about it in the dean's office when they were collecting the fees. So the title has changed. Yeah, he needs those 600,000 students back to fill those universities to keep them afloat for the tune of billions of dollars. Why else would he do that? You know, calling these people spies, making them feel very unwelcome, and that did affect it. And let me give you an example of kind of how the mentality of Chinese people think. If something goes wrong, they're very disrespected, or they're not welcome, they're not treated well. Let's say things happen, or if it's a danger, that gets around on Chinese social media, and that is it. Once it's out, we've seen Thailand suffer the numbers on tourism when there was a few issues on the way they treated some people from China. Thailand can't get their market back as much as they try right now. They've dropped all the regulations pretty much for Chinese to come there. Come on in, no visa on arrival, just come on in, 30 days, whatever you need, come. China says, there's other alternatives, and if you want us back, you're going to have to earn us back. And that's where we are with the universities right now. He has done a U-turn. You are right on that. And that starts, to make people go, what? I thought we were done. I thought, yay, we had a victory. The Chinese won't come here and they won't spy on us. So yeah, that's where they are. The universities are in trouble.
And it's really interesting to see the actions of Trump related to China, because a few days ago, I think even yesterday, Trump decided to raise the fees for the H-1B visa from 10 grand to 100 grand. So it will mostly affect Indian people and students and workers, I should say. So it's really strange to see how, even if he's attacking so much China, or at least his administration, he's really willing and in the need of receiving so much students. So because we know that in the human nature, especially in the West, we have a tendency to accuse someone of doing things that we do, in fact, because we usually talk about ourselves when we attack someone, when we are talking the proxy wars, doing some kind of a different kind of war compared to the conventional one, about stealing technologies and such, because this was, as you said, a huge accusation for many decades that the Chinese people were going in Western countries to steal. I think the word in English is the patent, the innovations that you can create. But would it be a conspiracy theory to imagine that if Trump and the administration is allowing so many students to come, is to maybe try to do the same thing? Not the same thing, because it was an accusation. We don't know if they stole so much, the Chinese people. They mostly came, learn, and came back to create innovations. But would it be a conspiracy theory to think that they could turn so many students into maybe agents to retaliate against China?
It's interesting. Most of the patent litigation come from American companies suing American companies. and you can see those in the courts in Texas, Delaware. You will see the patent wars that are going on. But what is really protection nowadays? I think Pandora's box has been opened with AI. Whether you're in film, whether you're in video work, whether you're in accounting, whether you're in law, it's wide open. Bringing students in so they can be spies. I mean, that it may make for a good movie, but I think if we're going to talk about being realistic here, those days have sailed many years ago. In fact, how can we look the American people in the straight face by saying, well, the Chinese are coming in to steal technology, but we're forcing them that when they become successful and make a company like TikTok, our government is allowed to buy it, state-sponsored purchase of a company that we think we should have or purchase. No, I think what America tried is they tried to block companies out there. I mean, and this hurts. This hurts the Americans. And I don't want to just focus on America. I also want to focus, on my own country of Canada and other countries that have this fear of being monitored. I mean, come on, man. Our Canadian government has its own monitoring service. The UK has its own monitoring service. The Americans have their own monitoring service. Does anybody really care? I mean, this whole thing about our privacy. I mean, we're all there. Sorry, we're all there. I mean, yeah, they can watch us if they want to watch where we're going. Okay, go ahead, watch where we're going. But what it comes down to is, at the end of the day, our lives. We want to improve our lives. Okay, and China is here to give that opportunity to people to improve their lives, whether it's through technology. I'll give you the best example I can give you here is most payments here are done with a digital wallet. And what happens is when you take currency, cash out of the system, the amount of crime, whether it's organized crime, whether it's proceeds of crime, whether it's moving multi-millions of dollars around to import, export bad things, that is gone. You can't, if you walked out on the street here with $300 in cash, that would raise people's awareness. They would say, they look at cash here as something like, why do you have money? Why do you have actually cash? So a lot of digital distribution of money here has got rid of a lot of, we'll say it, bad industries. Give you an example. People that moving fentanyl in the United States probably got money attached to it. We'll take money out of the equation. How are you going to move something? For what? For free? You're going to trade 500 cars for, I don't even know how fentanyl is distributed, but you take that out of the system and you see crime drop immediately. So this whole thing about technology, stealing, theft, man, if I was an American company, I would just get on the first plane and come over and say, you know what, guys, how can we do business together? And the Chinese would say, okay, we'll do this for that, and you do that for that, and you get on with it. But trying to protect patents, I'm sorry, but in 2025, yeah, I get it. Patents are important. But as we're seeing just here, I'm in a city, Motor City, we'll call it, the capital of, I guess, new energy vehicles here in China. British companies are benefiting here. German companies are benefiting here. China doesn't necessarily want to take over the automotive business. Sure, they like competition, and yes, they want to sell millions of their cars. But if you see some of the cars that are being built here, they're using German brakes. They're using Pirelli tires or Goodyear tires or Michelin tires. They're using some French components. They're like, hey, man, we don't need to invent the wheel. We don't want to open up where something has already been, a masterpiece. Let's just collaborate. And that word needs to be said many times, collaboration. China is all about working with international companies and doing it. I'll give you the best example I can give you about patents, and this should silence anybody. Where's the iPhone made? It's made right here. Why didn't China copy it?
That's a good question.
They have it all here. The manufacturing's done in Shenzhen. Why isn't it copied? How does that iPhone not get shown to the public before its actual launch date, because there's trust here in an industry. Now, yeah, we got competitors, but Huawei can definitely stand on its own 2 feet when it comes up to a mobile phone, and they're okay too. So that's my thing, is when we hear about this patent stealing, we have the world's largest manufacturer of consumer electronics, and that's called Apple, making them right here in China, and they haven't been caught.